I'm the itinerant voice actor for Wise Brother Media, speaking today with Leslie Stahl. How are you? Good morning.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And we were talking just a moment ago about how you are from where my nieces and nephew are from, which is Swampscott, Massachusetts.
Right?
So what happened? How did the long climb from Swampscott, Massachusetts to the top of CBS News? Tell us.
It was slow.
It's a long story, but
yeah,
we can hit some highlights.
it started late. I didn't really even know about journalism until I was in my very late 20s. Never was on the school newspaper, anything like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and decided after a chat with a journalist that it was really like a lightning bolt went off. I must do this. And I went and got a job then at NBC News, and it was a slow slog, as you said. Actually, I was a reporter in Boston. It was my first reporting job at the local CBS affiliate there.
On 60 Minutes, I see you as you're not necessarily the soft story person, but you're the one who's the most. You have such a sense of wonder at times when you're on a story and when you discover things. It seems like you're incredibly interested in whatever you're talking about.
Well, we pick our own stories.
Okay.
So I really am interested in everything I'm doing because I've been part of the selection process. That's kind of unique. Most news outlets, the reporters are assigned stories, and often gripe that they're not interested. But all of us at 60 Minutes choose our stories, so we are all vitally interested. I actually started out as a political reporter, first in Boston and then in Washington. I covered Washington for 20 years before I got to 60 Minutes.
Wow.
So I think that the stories I cover actually have a wide range, as we all do. When I first got to 60 Minutes, Don Hewitt said, I think of you all as my repertory company, and I want you all to play all the parts, as if all Shakespearean characters, from the clown to the king, So I think we all have a wide range, and even Mike Wallace, who was got to be known as the hard news investigative guy, did a lot of personal profiles and human interest and social stories. So we all do everything.
What were some of the harder stories that you had to cover?
Well, I've been doing a lot of stories in Iraq and the Middle East. I interviewed the President Trump, twice already, just this year, and last year, I guess. And, as I say, the full range, hard, soft, funny, not funny.
Can you talk about the times you spoke with Trump? Was it a frustrating interview, or was it?
Not at all.
I
did 2 interviews with him, and neither was frustrating. He was pretty forthcoming.
Okay.
In both interviews, most particularly the one 3 days after he won the election. He was subdued. The reality of what had just happened was just washing over him, I think. Even though he said he knew he was going to win, I don't think he did know he was going to win. And so I got him in that kind of a state.
Yeah. You know what reminds me of 60 Minutes these days is Vice News' weeknight broadcast on HBO. Have you seen it?
I have not.
It's really good. They're not quite. Of course, they're not investigative as 60 Minutes can be because they don't spend the time on each story like you guys do. But
nightly is really hard too.
Yeah, but they have a very, I don't know. It's just it's not like anything on network. It's really quite good.
I'll watch.
Yeah, give it a shot.
So, Carl, aren't we going to talk about my book?
We certainly are. Leslie Stahl, Becoming Grandma, which I'm looking at the cover right now, and there's your 2 adorable grandchildren on the cover. What drove you to write the book?
Well, somebody actually asked me to write a book about 60 Minutes, which I thought would be career-ending, so I said no, since I'm still there.
Well, it worked for Anthony Bourdain, so...
Yeah, right. Well, it wasn't going to work for me. And the publisher who had proposed this and I were having lunch when he made the 60 Minutes proposal. So what did we do? We had lunch, And I talked about my grandchildren. And at the end of lunch, she said, that should be your book. And I didn't think there was going to be a full book there. But the more I thought about it, the more I did think there was, and it turned out there was. And I've loved writing it. I've been out on a book tour, and you can't believe all the questions I get. Often when grandparents are in the audience, it can turn into a focus group if they're having trouble with their daughter-in-law, which I guess is kind of prevalent. Yeah.
So is it advice for grandmas?
No,
or?
Not at all. It's not the last person anybody wants to turn to for advice, believe me, is me. It's more like a 60 minutes investigation in a way, as I explore all the different kinds of grandmothers, meaning step-grandmothers, grandmothers who have custody, and there are millions. Grandmothers who are what I call granny nannies, who take care of the kids 2 or 3 days a week. Young grandmothers, old grandmothers, every aspect, and even a chapter on grandfathers. And then I go to 2 different communities that are grandparent-centric and explore them. So it's a real 60 minutes series of stories.
Yeah, it sounds like a real walk through the the role
The
of
landscape.
being a grandmother. Yeah,
And I do history, I do science,
Cool.
do sort of neurobiology. I do anthropology. It's a full look at why there are grandmothers in the first place. We're one of the very few animals on the planet where there are grandmothers.
Yeah.
Most animals die when they can no longer reproduce. So the anthropologists have come up with a theory as to why we're here in the first place. And when I tell audiences why, they always laugh, even though it's quite serious. And the reason is we're here to babysit. And it just happens to be true.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
And when my husband and I watch you, we always wait for that Leslie Stahl moment when you get that one surprising answer and you go,
But it's real. I promise it's real.
Yeah, I know.
People
I'm
are
sure.
always surprising me.
I'm sure it is, but it's like that's our drinking game. We're like, oh, take a sip of the martini.
Here she goes.
All right. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. It's been a pleasure, and I've always admired your work, and I've watched you for many years, and it's been great to finally have a chance to say hello to you over the phone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Another edition of The Itinerant Voice Actor with me, Carl Bishop. My little podcast that no one listens to, but everyone should. Special thanks to Johnny and Robert at Wise Brother Media, celebrity booker Paul Adamo, my partner in crime David Levin at Brainstorm Inc., and the super talented Noel Honig at The Drawing Room NYC. More episodes of The Itinerant Voice Actor coming soon. Thanks for listening.